Guess the little monkey's too dumb to know her old man's gone. Sergeant Ray Kincaid sneered, grinding his boot into the dust beside Malcolm Rivers' motionless body. The Mississippi sun burned down like judgment, flashing off badges once meant to protect, now gleaming with cruelty. 11-year-old Aisha froze, trembling, as the men who killed her father laughed and walked away. They figured it was over. Another report rewritten, another lie buried. But when she lifted his pistol and shouted, "Why did you kill my father?" the streets seemed to tilt. Minutes later, black SUVs slid in, and 13 of Malcolm's former Navy SEAL brothers ringed the killers, loaded not just with weapons, but with evidence, like comment your city and subscribe. Tomorrow's chapter will hit even harder. Morning light cuts through mist over Hollow Creek, Mississippi. Beams filter through live oaks along Main Street, dappling Malcolm Rivers' steel blue pickup humming down the lane. The engine purrs, a testament to the meticulous mechanic's touch. Aisha rides shotgun, backpack hugged tight. She watches his hands, steady on the wheel, their drive a sacred routine. Her eyes, deep and bright, linger on his knuckles. That commute has always been their little island of time. "Dad," Aisha says, teasing the zipper on her backpack, "we got a new project at school about heroes." Malcolm glances over, a soft smile sliding in. "Yeah? Who'd you choose? King? Parks?" She shakes her head, braids swaying. "No, Dad, I picked you." Her voice is a little older now, but iron true. Malcolm's fingers tighten on the wheel. Emotion shadows his face. "Me, kiddo? I'm just a mechanic." "You're not just anything," she insists. "You served. You help everybody, even grouchy Mr. Wilkes when his heap dies." She pulls a rumpled page, proud. "See, I already started." Malcolm blinks away moisture. "Let me hear some." "My hero is my dad, Malcolm Rivers," she reads. "He served in the Navy and now fixes cars, but that's not why—" Red and blue burst in the rear view. Malcolm's look changes, joy replaced by careful focus. He eases to the curb, breath slow, movements deliberate. "Put that away, kid," he says gently. "Remember our plan?" Aisha nods, the playfulness gone. Hands visible, no sudden moves. "Yes, sir," or "No, sir." "That's right." His tone stays calm, jaw set, as two officers approach. Through the mirror, she sees Sergeant Kincaid, swaggering up, palm on his holster. Officer Porter trails behind, younger, jumpy. "License and registration." Kincaid leans into the window, breath sour with coffee and cigarettes. "Taillights busted." "No, sir," Malcolm answers evenly, reaching slowly for his phone. "Checked every light this morning. I'd like to record if that's all right." Kincaid's face hardens. "Think you know better than me, boy?" The slur sours the air. "No, sir," Malcolm says. Phone now recording. "Just exercising my rights." He nods toward the glove box. "Registration's inside." Aisha sits still, heart pounding. She knows this look, how certain officers decide guilt before hello. But her dad taught courage, taught dignity. "Rights," Kincaid spits, getting uppity for a wrench turner. "Being a vet make you special." "Sir," Malcolm replies, steady as a level, "I'm reaching for my registration, moving slow." He leans carefully toward the glove box. Officer Porter flinches, panic flickering. "Gun!" he yells, yanking his weapon. Time fractures. Aisha sees her father's eyes widen with disbelief. "No!" he starts. 3 shots crack the morning, thunder tearing the day apart. Malcolm convulses, red spreading across his shirt. His phone skitters, still streaming, then clacks against the asphalt. He topples out, hitting the street. "Dad!" Aisha's scream rips free. She scrambles over, knees sliding, gathering his head into her lap. Blood soaks her clothes, hot and sticky. "Please wake up," she begs, voice splintering like glass. Kincaid mutters and holsters his pistol, annoyance instead of grief. Officer Porter turns away, face gone gray, hands shaking as he fumbles for the radio. Aisha clutches Malcolm, tears blurring everything. Her hero essay tumbles from the truck, landing in blood. Ink runs. Courage smears. Cars crawl by, cameras raised, while others hurry past, eyes dodging the ruin. The sun climbs indifferent, gilding rooftops, ignoring the man it left cooling on the concrete. A girl's world detonates into broken pieces that won't fit clean again. By noon, Main Street tangles in yellow tape and flashing bars. Cruisers box Malcolm's truck. Evidence markers blossom everywhere. Tough little gravestones that can't carry the story's heartbeat. Aisha sits in an ambulance, orange blanket over blood-dark clothes. Her eyes won't leave the spot where he fell. EMTs hover, whispering. She stays silent. Sources say the suspect was armed. A reporter calls. Recovered what appears. That's a lie, someone shouts. Malcolm never carried. Good man. Kincaid preens by the chief, selling self-defense. He reached under the seat, he claims, loud enough to wound. Each word slams into Aisha like another bullet. Officer Porter hides in his cruiser, head in hands, clean shirt over stained gilt, shoes still freckled with blood. More vans screech in, masts rising like metal trees. Anchors practice sorrow. Live from Hollow Creek. While EMTs answer a detective's checklist, Aisha slips from the bumper, feet ghost quiet. Dad taught her to tread soft while fishing, how to stalk wonder through silence. She slips under the tape as protesters clash with police. The truck's shadow holds her like an old friend. The driver door hangs open, blood drying on the seat. She finds his phone on the floorboard, screen cracked, but still recording, over an hour of truth. She stops it, presses it to her chest. Something tugs her to the trunk. Yesterday she'd watched him load the gym bag, and the pistol he'd meant to drop at the gunsmith. The keys hang in the ignition, familiar, heavy. It takes everything in her to twist the trunk key, but it finally pops with a tired sigh. The black handgun rests wrapped in cloth, exactly where she'd glimpsed it. It's cold and heavier than fear. He always said never touch it. But her father is gone, and the rules went with him into the ground. Shouts spike. Where's the girl? Check the perimeter. Aisha steps from behind the truck, weapon pointed down, tears streaming. A gasp ripples through the scene. Hands fly to holsters. Drop it! Someone barks. Her eyes find Kincaid. She raises the gun with both hands like in the movies, arms trembling. Why did you kill my father? Everything stops. Phones tilt. Cameras pivot. Officers draw, then hesitate. Nobody wants to be the one who shoots an 11-year-old girl on live television. Put it down, kid, Kincaid calls, swagger cracking. Don't make this worse. He didn't do anything wrong. Aisha's voice cracks open. You killed him. You lied. Rooftop figures shift, tactical silhouettes. Sirens stack. The crowd swells, a forest of screens. Hashtags flood timelines. Aisha Rivers. Please, sweetheart, a woman officer coaxes. Just set it down. We can talk. Talk? Aisha's laugh breaks. Like my dad tried? He was kind even when you weren't. Minutes drip into half an hour. The sun climbs. Sweat beads. Fingers whiten on triggers. Helicopters churn. Statements drop. Pundits spar. But here on Main Street, a child doesn't move, her sneakers tacky with her father's blood. At the 45-minute mark, Kincaid's patience snaps. Ridiculous. Take the shot. Stand down. The chief orders, teeth grit. Nobody fires. The crowd growls. Every twitch is recorded. At precisely an hour, a bullhorn's bass cuts through. Aisha, the voice carries, strong and steady, soaked in calm. This is Elias Cole. I served with your dad. Let's talk. Through the clearing of barrel lines and nerves, a tall man moves, measured as a metronome. Elias Cole's face is worn from service, eyes sharp, dark jeans, gray Henley. Civilian calm against a wall of uniforms. Stay behind the line, sir, an officer warns, reaching for him. Elias's gaze pins him. I served with Malcolm Rivers. SEAL teams. That's his daughter. Authority rolls off him. Bodies part. Kincaid strides forward, lip curled. This is a police matter, which you've handled masterfully, Elias says dryly, never breaking stride, focus anchored to Aisha, whose small hands grip steel. He keeps his movements slow, visible. The crowd hushes, breath held. Even the choppers seem to hover quieter. Aisha, his voice warms, your dad talked about you every day on deployment. Step. Remember the video from the carrier when you started kindergarten? Her grip tightens, eyes flicker. He wore the blue hat, she whispers. Elias smiles softly. That's right, the one with dolphins because you loved them. Another small step. He's close enough to see the tremor in her arms. He made the whole platoon sing happy birthday. They were off key, she says, tears spilling. Terrible, he agrees. He said we sounded like dying seals. He didn't care. He just wanted you smiling. Behind him, Kincaid shifts, hungry. We've got the angle, he whispers. Stand down, the chief snaps. Too many cameras. Elias kneels, drops his center to hers. Your dad was the bravest man I ever served with, he says. But what made him proudest wasn't medals. It was you. Every day it was you. Aisha's arms sink a little. He promised he'd be home for dinner. Her voice wobbles. He always keeps his promises. I know, Elias says, voice roughening. He loved you more than the whole world. They killed him, she sobs. I know, he says. But this isn't the way he'd want you to fight. Kincaid hisses. Take it. No, the chief answers, jaw wired. Elias extends his hand, palm open. Your dad taught you brave and smart, right? Let me help you be smart. Let me help you fight right. She looks into him and sees the steadiness she knew in Malcolm. The gun slips. Clatter. Gravity wins. She collapses. Elias catches her, draws her in, cradles her head, shields her with his frame. The spell shatters. Officers surge, weapons still out, shouting. Back off! Elias roars, command booming. She's a child. The crowd erupts. Some cheer, some rage. Phones devour every angle. A chant starts. Malcolm! Malcolm! It rolls like thunder. Hours later, the town's dark streets carry the slow rumble of Elias's truck. Aisha sleeps slumped in the passenger seat, wrung dry from crying. News vans keep circling, headlines twisting the day already. Armed child holds officers at bay. Police restraint prevents tragedy. The truck noses up to a modest craftsman with lights blazing. Nina Rivers steps onto the porch. Aisha's aunt, an attorney whose composure fractures at the sight of her niece. Her eyes burn with grief spiked into resolve. Elias lifts sleeping Aisha. Nina strokes the girl's hair, then meets Elias's stare. They're already spinning, she says, smearing Malcolm, turning this baby into a menace. They murdered my brother in cold blood, Nina says, voice tight but lethal. Shot him down like he was nothing. Pain and purpose braid together in her tone. We're going to make them answer. Every last one. Morning leaks through Nina's kitchen window without warmth. She stands at the counter, white-knuckled on a mug, watching local news in disbelief. Sources say Malcolm Rivers, a mechanic with possible gang ties, reached for what officers believed. The anchor performs concern. Chopped surveillance shows only final seconds, carefully missing the start. Cowards, Nina spits, flinging her mug. It explodes against the wall, coffee bleeding down like a wound. Her phone buzzes. The district attorney will see her. The DA's office is polished wood and cauterized empathy. District Attorney William Palmer, careerist, allergic to positions, folds practiced concern behind a massive desk. Ms. Rivers, I know this is difficult. Spare me, Nina says. I want the raw footage. Body cams, dash cams, surveillance. Today. He sighs. It's not that simple. Active investigation. My brother was murdered in broad daylight. Palmer picks words like landmines. Initial reports suggest threatening movements. That's fiction, Nina snaps. Malcolm New stops. Hands visible every time. We need the process, he insists. While you edit? She fires back. I'm filing for all footage now. If one frame's missing, I go federal. Across town, Elias moves like a rumor, collecting witness shards. Ms. Ruby at the corner store saw through the glass. She arranges candy bars with trembling hands. He had his hands up the whole time, she whispers. Kincaid came for a fight. He's been like that for years. Malcolm. He was digging into something big. Into what? Elias asks, voice low. That company, Heliox Defense, she says, eyes darting, dumping poison where our babies live. Malcolm had logs, times, dates, pictures. She grips his sleeve. Watch yourself. People who dig too deep don't come back. The afternoon, Elias assembles fragments, each voice another puzzle piece clicking into place. He learns Malcolm documented illegal chemical dumping by Heliox Defense, leaking tanks, groundwater burn, cancer clusters where black neighborhoods downstream drink and bathe. At the country club, Kincaid and Chief Braddock sit across from James Wilton, Heliox security boss, smoke thickening the deal. This is a mess, Wilton growls. Freelance Rivers had files. Find them. We're handling it, Braddock purrs. Narrative set. Aggressive suspect. Reaching under the seat. Necessary force. And the kid? Wilton demands. That's stunts everywhere. She's traumatized, Kincaid sneers. Unstable. Plays into our hand. Clean it up, Wilton orders, or the next body won't be a Rivers. As dusk bleeds, Elias pulls up to Malcolm's shuttered garage. Freeman Auto Repair creaks in the wind. He slips inside with the spare key Malcolm once pressed into his palm. The space feels wrong without his friend, the military tidiness, the rows of wrenches like salutes. In the office, behind the desk, a heavy toolbox marked simply HDC weights with a serious lock. He punches in the code. Aisha's birthday. The lid lifts. Inside, flash drives, receipts, photos, lab sheets, manifests, maps with red X's, and a note that stings. If I don't make it back, tell Elias it wasn't an accident. He swallows hard. Malcolm knew. He'd been preparing. Paper can't stop bullets. Elias locks the box again, fingers trembling. Outside, a patrol car crawls past, slowing like a shark's eye. They're watching. Always watching. He waits in the dark until it glides away. The weight in his hands is the weight of a dead man's trust, heavy as the truth it carries. Rain hammers Nina's windows. Thunder rolls across Hollow Creek. In her dim living room, papers cover every flat surface. Elias cross-legged on the floor, sorting methodically. Nina paces, phone pinned to her ear. No, I need body cam files tonight, she says, voice tight. Protocols won't bury my brother. She hangs up, furious. They're stalling, she says. Buying time to sanitize evidence. Elias lifts a document. Purchase orders. Heliox to police. Nina frowns. Departments buy gear all the time. Not like this, he says, spreading more pages. Chemical dispersal units, water cannons, quantities that make no sense for a town this size. Upstairs, a small frightened whimper. She's having nightmares, Nina whispers. She sleeps wrapped in his jacket, says it still smells like him. Thunder stamps the roof. They work in a storm's drum. Elias arrays piles, finances, shipping, environmental reports. Each page grows the picture. Here, Nina says, pointing at a contract. Look at these signatures. The department provides security. Official escort for sensitive materials, Elias reads. That's the trick, moving chemical waste under police protection. Malcolm traced the routes, Nina says, voice catching. All those late-night convoys into our neighborhoods. They killed him for this, Elias says. He scrolls his phone. Torres, he murmurs. We served together. Did a stint at Heliox. Left sour. Can you trust him? Nina asks. He was solid, Elias says, steady at the window. Headlights pool outside. A dark sedan idles across the street, lights off. Get down, he snaps. The window explodes as gunfire chews through the room. Elias tackles Nina to the floor, throws his body over hers, glass raining. More shots whip through, controlled bursts, professional, not joyriders. Nina starts to rise. Aisha! Stay! Elias army crawls to his jacket, fingers finding his pistol. Tires screech, the car peels into rain. Nina bolts upstairs, calling. Aisha sobs, pressed into Malcolm's jacket. They'll kill us like they killed Daddy. No, they won't, Nina says, fierce. Elias clears rooms, mapping angles, counting shots, noting brass on the porch, tire tracks in the mud. This was a warning, not a finish. The message is plain. Back off or die. Sirens growl nearer. Elias crams the most crucial files into Malcolm's box. They can't trust badges. Not now, maybe never. Rain slaps through the broken window, soaking carpet. Pages flap like panicked birds. The house that should shelter now feels hived with danger. Nina comes down, jaw locked. She's back asleep, clutching his jacket. Elias nods, scanning. If they wanted us dead, they'd have used different tactics. This was theater. A very loud warning. Red and blue strobes crawl the walls. Officers swarm the living room by daylight. Detective Harris, heavyset, thinning hair, barely glances at the markers. Gang-related, he drones, closing a half-empty notebook. Seen a lot lately. Elias crosses his arms. Gang work with precision fire? Harris shrugs. Cartels get training. Could be anything. That's nonsense, and you know it. Nina snaps from the couch, sleepless eyes blazing. This is about Malcolm's murder and Heliox's defense. Harris's face cools. Ma'am, your brother's case is closed. Don't make connections that don't exist. Officers pack up fast. No photos of tracks, no bagged casings. Incompetence rehearsed to perfection. After they leave, Elias heads for Malcolm's garage at town's edge. Police tape sighs across the bay doors. Behind the cinderblock building, Hollow Creek twists past dying trees. He slips under the tape. Inside, everything sits exactly as Malcolm left it. Tools aligned, invoices filed, a calendar of appointments he'll never keep. The smell finds him. Chemical. Wrong. It intensifies near the back door. He follows it to the creek bank, where fish float belly up, white bellies flashing in the gray water. A rainbow film slicks the surface. What did you uncover, brother? He murmurs. A metal glint in the brambles. He pushes through thorns. Hiding under branches are industrial barrels, half swallowed by mud. The faded stencil reads, Property of Heliox Defense, hazardous. Elias starts filming. Barrels, cereals, dead life, the poisoned slick. Footsteps scrape gravel. Fine morning for a stroll, Mr. Cole? He turns slowly. Mayor Harold Riddick stands crisp and dry, flanked by two officers resting hands on guns. Mayor, Elias says, phone still recording. Coincidence finding you here. Riddick smiles without warmth. I keep tabs on veterans in distress, especially near sensitive sites. Distress? Elias says, muscles coiled. I'm fine. Are you? Reddick steps closer, keeping his polished shoes clean. You seem addicted to old ghosts, stirring trouble the town can't tolerate. Like Malcolm Rivers, Reddick says, voice oiled. Tragic, but clinging to grief won't bring him back. Hollow Creek needs peace. Progress. We can't have certain elements disrupting progress. Elias gestures toward the barrels. This your progress? Poisoned water? Careful, Reddick replies. Industrial incidents occur. Environmental surveys are complex. Leave it to authorities. The authorities look busy elsewhere, Elias says. Reddick drops the friendly mask. Listen, son. You served. Respect is due. Take my advice. Go home. Try a different town. Keep poking, and accidents happen to veterans, especially those with PTSD, living alone, no witnesses. The threat hangs heavy as the chemical stench. That sounded like a threat, Mr. Mayor, Elias says, voice level. Just caring for your well-being, Reddick answers, smile thin. Last warning, for old time's sake. And if those documents you've gathered leak, the town won't appreciate outsiders slandering respectable businesses. Elias keeps filming until they disappear. His jaw knots. He saves everything twice. Back in his truck, he emails Nina's contact, Dana Ruiz, an investigative reporter famous for dragging warlords and corporations into daylight. Subject, Malcolm's murder, Heliox dumping, mayor implicated, proof attached. He sends video, barrel photos, a summary. Her reply hits minutes later. Meet at dawn. Bring everything. Watch your back. 3 Heliox whistleblowers died this year. Elias stares past the windshield at the creek's rainbow sheen, beautiful and poisonous, like Reddick's smile. The Blue Moon Diner glows like an island before sunrise, neon flickering against a purple sky. He parks behind the building, out of sight, as Dana Ruiz steps from a battered Subaru, presence bigger than her frame. Her eyes sweep the lot. Reporters scan, sharpened by too many close calls. Press pass, laptop bag. Mr. Cole, she says, handshake firm. Inside, fewer eyes. The diner smells like grease and old coffee. A sleepy waitress barely looks up as they slide into a back booth. Dana orders coffee, opens her laptop. Show me. He spreads Malcolm's archive. Disposal logs, land plats, deeds older than pain. Plays Reddick's threat. Shows barrels and dead fish. Dana's fingers fly, cross-referencing names, dates, parcels. Her face darkens. This goes deeper than dumping, she mutters. These properties? Black families owned them, 12, seized in 1963 through eminent domain. Height of the civil rights era, Elias says. Exactly, Dana nods. Pennies on the dollar. Forced out. And who facilitated those takings? She pivots her screen. Robert Braddock, Sr., the current police chief's father. Elias's phone buzzes. Nina. Both Kincaid and Chief Braddock hold significant Heliox stock, bought before expansion of waste contracts. Pattern sharpens. Insider trading to flavor the poison, Dana says. This town's corruption is generational. Crimes laundered into process. The waitress refills mugs. Dana waits until she drifts away. Malcolm mapped the machine. They killed him because he'd built a trigger. Her eyes hold Elias's. I'm running this. Front page. Digital. My editor's greenlit verification. They'll try to smear you, Elias says. Let them, Dana answers. I've got EPA sources. Satellite imagery of plume spread. Ex-Heliox testimonies. But hear me. Once this goes live, they'll come for all of you. Not just Heliox, the whole protection racket. We're ready, Elias says. Are you? Dana's mouth quirks. I've covered 3 Heliox stories, she says. 3 whistleblowers died before testimony. Crash, fire, robbery gone wrong. She packs up. I learned in Fallujah, and after. Truth only matters if you live to tell it. She stands. I need 24 hours to lock the last pieces. Then we publish everything. Dawn stains the lot gold. They walk to cars, separately, strangers again in public. Halfway home, Elias's phone rings. Nina. You meet Ruiz? Yes. She publishes tomorrow. We should... Beep! Another call. Dana. He switches. Dana? Wind and engine roar. They're on me, Dana says, tight with breath. Black SUV, no plates. Trying. A smash of metal. Where are you? Elias is already flipping a U-turn. Highway 9 near the old mill. There. The line dies. He hops back to Nina. Call 911. Dana's in trouble. Highway 9. He floors it. Tires screaming. Smoke climbs the morning, black and mean. His grip turns bone white. The scene unrolls like a nightmare. A car lies inverted, flames chewing fast. Heat slaps him back at 50 feet. No SUV, no Dana. Nina skids in behind him. They stand helpless as sirens wail closer. God, Nina whispers, they did it. They killed her. The inferno erases everything. Elias's eyes track the damage pattern, thinking angles, force, debris, spread. Something's off. When the tow hooks bite and the wreck shifts, he pretends to check his phone, edging closer. Under the trunk lip, he spots it. A small black box, blinking red. A tracker. He snaps a photo before a uniform shoves him back. Active scene, sir. More cops arrive, unfamiliar faces, tactical vests, rifles. The crowd stiffens. Chief Braddock's bullhorn brays. Elias Cole, we have a warrant for your arrest. Nina steps up. On what grounds? A detective waves paper. Criminal trespass and property damage. Security footage shows him breaking into Heliox last night. Impossible, Nina protests. He was with me. We also have evidence linking him to Ms. Ruiz's crash. They're moving too fast, stitching lies into institutions. Elias glances at Nina. Save Aisha. But a cruiser rolls up and Aisha's inside, trapped behind glass beside Ruth Braddock, the chief's cousin who runs foster care. Aisha's eyes go wild, seeing rifles ring Elias. No, she screams, yanking a locked handle. Leave him alone. 4 officers close in, guns trained. Elias raises his hands, voice calm. I'm not resisting. They still slam him into a cruiser, cuffs biting bone. Aisha's scream rips the air as Ruth restrains her. Nina moves to intervene. An officer shoves her hard, staggering her. Back off, counselor, Chief Braddock warns. Or you're next. They drag Elias past the cruiser where Aisha pounds the window. Uncle Elias, don't let them take you too. It carves him open, the same terror that seared her when Malcolm fell. It's okay, kid, he starts. Be strong, A baton hammers his ribs. Breath detonates. They haul him into another car. Blinkers washing. Chief Braddock leans to the window, breath sour. Apple didn't fall far, he sneers. Malcolm was a troublemaker. Look where that landed him. Elias's stare doesn't flinch. You can't bury truth forever. Braddock's smile curdles. Watch me. The door slams. Engines rev. The town watches a frame-up march off under colored lights. Behind the cinder-block shop, Hollow Creek winds through a stand of dying trees. Elias ducks beneath the tape, slips inside, and pauses in the stillness Malcolm left, tools aligned like soldiers, orders neatly filed, a calendar of appointments he'll never keep. Grief presses in, steady, breath-stealing, unromantic, unavoidable. A sour chemical tang creeps into his sinuses, wrong as a siren at midnight, stronger near the back door. He follows it into the damp morning, past the cracked concrete pad to the creek's edge, where white bellies of fish wink in gray water. A rainbow sheen snakes downstream, glittering malignantly. Metal glints through bramble. He shoulder pushes into thorns, jacket snagging, and finds half-buried industrial barrels. Faded stencils, property of Heliox Defense, hazardous material. Elias starts filming. Cereals, location, dead minnows, the oil slick film, his boots in muck, all the careful receipts of poison, carefully staged, but sloppy enough to get caught. Fine morning for a nature walk, Mr. Cole? Mayor Harold Riddick's voice pours like warm syrup from the tree line. Crisp suit, two officers in tow, hands near holsters. Elias doesn't turn off the camera. Mayor! Riddick smiles, eyes predator calm. I keep tabs on distressed veterans wandering near sensitive facilities. Distressed? Elias says, keeping distance. I'm fine. Are you? Reddick steps close, careful of mud. You stir ghosts. This town needs peace, progress, not conspiracy tourists. Elias gestures at dead fish and barrels. Progress looks mighty toxic. Reddick's smile thins. Accidents happen. Environmental work is complicated. Best leave it to competent authorities. The competent ones look occupied elsewhere, Elias says. Reddick lets the mask drop. Friendly advice: go home. Veterans sometimes have incidents, no witnesses, unfortunate outcomes. The chemicals stink and threat braid together. Elias keeps filming. That sounded like a threat. Concern, Reddick replies. Final warning, and if documents leak, this town defends its partners. He records until they're dots on the access road. Jaw tight, he double saves the video, then triple checks his truck's mirrors all the way back to Nina's. The box of Malcolm's files rides shotgun like a bomb in a bomb, heavy with faith, heavy with dangerous, indispensable truth. He emails Nina's contact, Dana Ruiz, Bulldog reporter with war zone scars. Subject line: Malcolm's murder, Heliox dumping, mayor implicated. Proof attached. The message is clean, unsentimental, urgent. Videos, photos, receipts, summaries. Her reply lands within minutes. Meet at dawn, Blue Moon Diner. Bring everything. Watch your back. 3 Heliox whistleblowers dead this year. The diner's neon flickers in pre-dawn lavender. He parks out of sight. Dana arrives in a battered Subaru, presence bigger than her frame. Eyes sweep the lot, calculated, habitual. Mr. Cole, firm handshake. Inside, grease, coffee, one bored waitress. Back booth, laptop open. Show me. He empties Malcolm's paper heart onto laminate. Disposal logs, land deeds, Riddick's threats, barrel photos, creek shots. Dana's fingers fly, cross-referencing parcel numbers and surnames with quiet, lethal focus. Her face darkens. This isn't just dumping. 12 black families own this land, seized by eminent domain in '63. Facilitated by Robert Braddock, Sr., the current chief's father. Elias's phone buzzes. Nina. Both Kincaid and Chief Braddock bought Heliox stock right before waste contracts expanded. Generational grift, Dana says. Crimes laundered as policy. She waits until the waitress drifts away. Your friend mapped the whole machine. They killed him because he'd assembled the trigger. I'm running it. Front page, fully sourced. They'll smear you, Elias warns. I've got EPA sources, satellite imagery of plume spread, depositions from former Heliox staff, Dana replies. But understand, once this drops, they'll hunt you, Nina, the kid. Everyone, not just Heliox. They're enablers too. We're ready. Are you? She asks, half smile, half test, then nods. I covered 3 Heliox exposés, she says, packing up. Each whistleblower died before testifying. Car crash, house fire, supposed robbery. Lesson from Fallujah to here. Truth only matters if you live to tell it. She closes the laptop. Give me 24 hours to lock verification. Then we go live, all of it. Dawn pours gold across the empty lot. They walk to cars like strangers. Midway home, Elias's phone rings. Nina. Did you meet Ruiz? Yes. Publishes tomorrow. We should... Beep! Incoming! Dana. He flips lines. Wind, tire hum. They're on me, Dana says, breath tight. Black SUV, no plates. They're trying to... Then metal screams. Where? Elias whips a U-turn, accelerator flattening. Highway 9, by the old mill. The line snaps. He jumps back to Nina. Call 911. Dana. Highway 9. He drives like somebody else is steering. Instinct and fear welded together. A boil of smoke stains the sky ahead. Thick, greasy, wrong. The wreck appears all at once, car upside down, fire chewing through the cabin. Heat slaps his face from 50 feet. No SUV, no Dana. Nina's sedan fishtails in beside him. They're helpless statues, pinned by flame, until sirens crest the hill. God, Nina whispers, they did it. They killed her. The inferno eats evidence like a starving god. Elias studies wreck geometry, impact angle, debris fan, scorch pattern, wincing at each crackle. Something's off in the story physics. When the tow hook snags and the trunk lip shifts past him, he sees it. A small black box with a pinpoint blink, a tracker. He snaps a photo before a uniform pushes him back. Active scene, sir. Unfamiliar cops arrive. Tactical vests, long guns, faces he doesn't know. The crowd murmurs uneasily. Cameras rise. Chief Braddock's voice booms from a bullhorn. Elias Cole, we have a warrant for your arrest. The world tilts again perfunctorily. Nina steps forward, voice iron. On what grounds? A detective brandishes a paper. Criminal trespass and property damage. Security footage places him at Heliox last night. Impossible, Nina says. He was with me. The detective's smile is made of ice. We also have evidence tying him to Ms. Ruiz's accident. They're moving at a professional clip, stitching lies to paperwork before blood cools. Elias flicks a glance at Nina. Save Aisha. A cruiser arrives with Aisha in the back beside Ruth Braddock. Chief's cousin runs foster care. When the girl sees rifles circling Elias, she kicks the door, throat tearing. Leave him alone! 4 officers sweep in, rifles leveled, voices braided into sharp commands. Elias lifts his hands high, calm like a drill. I'm not resisting. They slam him anyway. Metal and bone meeting without ceremony. Cuffs bite. Aisha screams and thrashes as Ruth restrains her. Nina rushes. An officer shoves her, hard enough to stagger. Back off, counselor, Chief Braddock warns. Bullhorn unnecessary now. Or you're next. Cameras swing between faces. Wolfpack hungry. Elias is hauled past Aisha's window. She pounds the glass, eyes huge, cheeks wet. Uncle Elias, don't let them take you too. He tries to smile something steady, something she can stand on. It's okay, kid, he starts. Be strong. A baton crashes into his ribs, stealing breath mid-vow. He folds, then straightens through white pain. The crowd surges and recoils, tugged by fear and fury. Somebody chants. Somebody prays. Officers funnel him toward a different cruiser, choreography grimly practiced. Chief Braddock leans to the open window, breath sour with coffee. Apple didn't fall far, he sneers softly. Malcolm was a troublemaker. Look where that got him. Elias meets the gaze without blinking. You can't bury truth forever. Braddock's smile turns reptile. Watch me. The door slams. The engine shudders awake. Across the tape line, reporters preen for hits. Preliminary evidence suggests alcohol may have contributed. Braddock announces by microphone, referencing Dana's wreck. Empty bottles recovered. Liar, Nina whispers, shaking. Dana didn't drink. She holds her phone up anyway, documenting everything. Faces, words, the tiny cruelties that grow into policy and plague. Elias stares through smudged glass at the gathering lights and lenses. He measures routes and contingencies like a map he can't afford to misread. Somewhere, Malcolm's toolbox and drives are safe for now. Somewhere, the creek keeps killing silently. Somewhere, Aisha will need a lighthouse that doesn't blink out. The tow truck drags Dana's car into a wobbling silhouette. The tracker's blink is gone now, plucked or melted. Elias thinks of her line. Truth matters if you live to tell it, and forces his breath even. Live, he orders himself. Endure. Keep the signal moving. The handoff is everything. Everything. Inside the cruiser, an officer's radio chatters, coded boredom over weaponed menace. Outside, chants swell, then gutter. Nina scans license plates, faces, patches, catching names like fish, tucking them into memory. Ruth's cruiser turns away with Aisha inside, the girl's small fist still pressed against glass, shrinking in the rear window. Nina moves fast and small toward a sympathetic neighbor's porch, slipping through clumps of spectators. She texts 3 names, 3 redundancies for Malcolm's archive. If they take one messenger, the other 2 still carry. She keys a 4th, lawyer friend at the state AG's office. Quiet, stubborn, allergic to corruption. A gust brings ash smell down the block. Somewhere a kid coughs. Somewhere a mother curses. Nina steadies her breath. She watches Braddock play responsible man for cameras, watches Kincaid smirk for the soft focus lens. All of it is theater. Theater can be countered with tape, metadata, timestamps, sunlight, relentless. The cruiser lurches forward, Elias's wrists burning, ribs throbbing. He catalogs street turns, landmarks, traffic cams, anything that later might contradict whatever they invent. He thinks of Malcolm's note, of Aisha's trembling hands lowering a gun, of Riddick's concern, of Barrel's sleeping in mud, dreaming of lawsuits, subpoenas, indictments. Guess the apple didn't fall far, Braddock murmurs again, savoring it through the cracked window, as if repetition makes it truer. Elias doesn't give him the flinch. "You'll choke on this," Elias says, voice low. "All of you." Braddock's smile falters for a breath, then returns, cheap, practiced, camera ready, nervous at the edges. Ruth's cruiser merges toward the county center, Aisha strapped behind plexiglass, clutching Malcolm's jacket like a life vest. She's silent now, grief locked behind her teeth. The town slides by. Church signs, payday lenders, the diner where truth almost made it to daylight. Tomorrow's headlines are already writing themselves. Back at the scene, Nina squares her shoulders, pushes through microphones. "Counselor Rivers," someone barks, "do you deny your brother was violent?" She meets the lens like a witness under oath. "My brother was murdered. We will prove it. And we will prove what Heliox has done to this town, on record." Braddock pivots toward the podium, fielding softball questions, rehearsed concern shining like lacquer. Kincaid flashes his half-cocky grin. The corner of Nina's mouth lifts. Not a smile, a promise. She slips away before anyone realizes she's gone. There are judges to wake, servers to ping, drives to clone, truths to hurry along. They force Elias deeper into the seat. The door thunks shut like a vault. Braddock leans close to the window one last time, smirk worming back into place. "Your friend Rivers thought he could outsmart the system." Elias holds his stare. "He didn't think," he says. "He knew." Braddock's eyes flicker. "Watch me." The ride to county lockup is quick, but the real sentence begins in booking. No cameras, no witnesses, just uniforms pretending not to see. First shot digs his kidney, second splits his lip. They're careful, leaving bruises a jumpsuit hides. "This is what happens to uppity nobodies," one snarls. Elias swallows the pain, copper on his tongue. He thinks of Malcolm, of Dana, of everyone who bled trying to surface the truth. He pictures Aisha's face, twisted by grief and fury. After fingerprints and snapshots, they toss him into a cell. Concrete leaches heat from his cheekbone. Down the corridor, voices ricochet off steel. "Your attorney got turned away," a young deputy whispers through bars. "They claim system maintenance." Elias sits up slowly, ribs flaring. "They think they can bury daylight," he mutters. The kid glances both ways, slips him a paper towel, then ghosts. A heavy door slams. Boot falls drum the hall. Through a swollen eye, Elias watches shadows gather outside. More uniforms, more pain. They don't grasp it yet. Every punch, every edited report, every lie validates what Malcolm died proving. The lock snaps. Elias doesn't flinch. He's braced for storms. He's endured worse in burnt-out cities overseas. They can bruise muscle, rattle bone, but they won't shake purpose. Not while Aisha needs the world to listen. Not while Malcolm's executioners swagger free. Footsteps cross the threshold. The door clangs shut. Elias locks his gaze, body tight. Ready. Brass knuckles wink beneath fluorescent buzz. "Round two, hero?" His ribs complain, but Elias squares on the thin mattress, making space small as a foxhole. Somewhere down the run, someone sobs. 3 days have smeared since they cuffed him. Questions came with fists, answers measured in purple. Bruises bloom beneath orange fabric. Still, sleep won't come because fear for Aisha won't let it. From the slit of window and guard gossip, courthouse tremors filter in. During visiting hours, they barred. Nina's voice carried anyway, painting ugly truth he already suspected, where the girl was dumped. "They gave her to Ruth Braddock," Nina shouted, letting the words travel. "That save the children tyrant." Elias's hands knotted hard. The community knows Ruth's sugar-coated cruelty. Bible verses wrapped around punishment. Meal line whispers confirm. Essays about sins, forced smiles, proper English. Culture squeezed into palatable shapes for donors. "She made my cousin kneel on rice," a trustee says, collecting trays. "Wouldn't let him keep family photos, called them corrupting influences." Elias sees Aisha, proud, flint-eyed, trapped in that antiseptic malice. The machine's chokehold tightens. Nina files for emergency custody. Suddenly, ethics probes sprout, her license suspended overnight. "It's a frame," she breathed through Elias's door before they yanked her away. They're salting every road. Days dissolve under sour light. He tracks time by guard swaps, meal rattles, scheduled attitude corrections, push-ups until arms quiver. Habit, armor. They won't break the chassis, not before the finish line. A new rumor rides the chow cart. Aisha refused to sing at Ruth's church, kept stone still while children recited verses. Punishment, 1 hour kneeling on raw grain. She didn't cry, the trustee murmurs. Looks straight ahead like her daddy. Pride and fear tangle in Elias's chest, tightening together. At bedcheck, Deputy Hankerson appears. Same young eyes that flinch when the worst started. "Hands visible," he recites for cameras. Elias complies, slow as a tide. The deputy searches just enough, motions practiced, oddly precise, until he bends and something small skates across cement, stopping near Elias's boot. Hankerson straightens. "All clear," he says for the mic, then moves on. When silence returns, Elias's hands remember SEAL lessons. Quiet folds, corner light reading. The message is tight, nervous. Malcolm's buddies, SEALs, contact Reaper. The word hits like a rifle crack, history uncoiling. 13 ghosts from sanctioned wars, unretired. Reaper, the crew Malcolm ran with before they all quit the machine. Brown and black operators who'd swallowed too much dirty work to salute anymore. They went private, but loyalty never slept. Rumors said they still cleaned messes, sheltered their own, cut rot from institutions that fed on silence. Cameras stare. Elias drops to the floor like cranking out push-ups, slides the note into the cot's seam. Safe. "Reaper," he breathes against his chest, low enough to fool mics. "It's time." He hears heavier boots lining up downrange. The night crew, their euphemism for sanctioned pain, prepares its sermon. He rises slow. Injuries complain. Let them think he's softening. They don't know 13 shadows just slipped onto the board. They don't know those men knew Heliox contracts from the inside, or that their grievances multiplied like storm fronts. The hinge shrieks. He faces darkness, spine straight. They can keep their inning. The game's shifting. Two guards crack knuckles. Bedtime legend? Elias doesn't answer. His mind's ahead. Old numbers, old habits, next moves. The real question, is Hollow Creek ready for consequence? The first punch drops. He rolls with it, protecting ribs, feeding the fire. Thunder crawls over rooftops like artillery. Rain batters the metal skin of county. Elias lies still afterward, counting breaths, reading shadows. 3 cracked ribs carve each inhale, but focus holds, because something's moving beyond the slit window. Exactly 0200, the first blast rumbles far out, plausibly lightning, plausibly cover. Guard radios hiss static confusion. The second detonation snips the feeder grid that keeps cameras honest and locks smug. Emergency lighting washes the blocks in blood-red glow. Boots scramble past his door toward wrong perimeters. Through the windows cut, shapes glide. Clean, disciplined. Familiar hand signals spark like matches. Out of the storm, a black SUV ghosts, then hammers the gate. Steel screams. Concrete coughs, dust. Gunfire pops. Jittery, uncoordinated. Blocks compromised, somebody barks, voice ending wet. Elias stands off the cot, pain threading his side. Those movement patterns, tight and wicked, live in his bones already. 13 shadows slip down corridors like smoke. No wasted movement, no grandstanding. Guards who swing get folded, sleeping instead of dying. Violence is tuned, surgical, the kind refined over years until it's choreography. The door to Elias's world sighs open without complaint. In the red, a familiar silhouette grins. "Been a minute, brother," says Doc Harris, their old medic, skin carved by time, eyes still diamond sharp. His hands inventory injuries fast. "They worked you hard." "I've seen worse," Elias breathes. Doc tosses a vest. The weight fits. Malcolm found Heliox Black Ops. SEAL teams used off-books. He died trying to shield us. Outside, controlled bangs thump the night, decoys to tug cruisers elsewhere. Faces slide from memory into present. Rodriguez, Jackson, Thompson, veterans of sanctioned forgetting, finally turned around. Ops centers cold, someone whispers in their comms. Cameras looped, guards asleep. The group moves like one creature, old muscle memory reigniting. Rain thickens, a curtain cut by lightning. On the roof, silhouettes settle behind optics. Watchmen. Inside, broken noses, bruised pride, but no body bags. 3 identical SUVs purr at the lot's edge. Elias climbs into the middle rig. Ribs yelp. Doc shoves a sat phone into his palm. "Call her." Nina picks up on pulse 1. "About time," she exhales. "Ruth's got Aisha locked in the basement for attitude. I'm this close to committing felonies." "We're inbound," Elias says. 20 minutes. Move ready." The convoy splits like mercury, each route planned days ago. Elias's truck angles toward Ruth Braddock's Victorian. 2 Reapers already nest nearby, thermal scans rolling. "No real system," Doc reports. 2 bodies in the basement, one big, one small. Elias's jaw grinds. Then we go downstairs. Breach takes less than 3 minutes. Hinges pop. Air whistles. Ruth spins, righteous indignation gagged by zip ties. Aisha's in the corner. Angry eyes, wet cheeks. "I knew you'd come," she whispers. Elias lifts her. Ribs shriek, his heart louder. Rain slicks them to the trucks. The safe house squats off unmarked logging trails. Old timber box, newer radios. Nina meets them on the porch and folds Aisha tight, shoulders unstringing for the first time in days. Inside, 13 operators circle a scarred table. Maps cover wood, plant, station, square. Gear is stacked like reliability. Elias reads old faces, men gouged by history, still stubborn against corrosion. Marcus was family. Family demands reckoning. Lightning rakes the windows. The cabin hums like a tuned engine behind thunder. Elias says what they came to hear. Tomorrow we end it, in the open. Dawn spreads purple over Hollow Creek. The square bristles with rented truss and branded platitudes. In memory of Malcolm Rivers, a united community. Hypocrisy perfumes the air. Police ooze around the edges. Chief Braddock sprinkles rooftop rifles like confetti. They're braced, Doc says, passing binoculars. 16 visible plus plainclothes. News vans elbow angles. City Hall staff arranges smiles. Good, more witnesses. A ping, Nina's picture, Aisha in black with Malcolm's tags. The text, she's speaking. Rodriguez crackles. We're in their feeds and emergency alerts. Your word and the flood starts. 2 hours to curtain. Thompson and Jackson double-check non-lethal kits. Foam, flash, smoke. No funerals today, Elias reminds. Rubbing ribs. Crowds thicken. Black families knotted together. White neighbors wearing blue ribbons. The divide shows like a riverbed in drought. SUVs roll. Mayor's entourage, Heliox suits, displaying control before collapse. All teams check status, Elias radios. Alpha on exits, Thompson replies. Bravo on crowd safety, Jackson adds. Charlie on feeds, Rodriguez says. Delta medical, Doc confirms. Elias breathes pain into precision. Clean, by the book, let evidence work. 10 o'clock lands. Mayor Reddick booms his unity hymn. Soldiers of theater take positions. Signal bars are perfect. Heliox's CEO keeps glancing at a silent phone. His security team isn't answering because Reaper's zip ties replaced earpieces. The pastor prays while Elias and others melt through spectators to stations. When the amen fades, Reddick summons Aisha. She's small at the podium, but steel-backed. Nina hovers near. Contempt unhidden. Elias's thumb hovers the trigger. Timing is a blade. Patience keeps it sharp. Aisha adjusts the mic. My dad was a hero, she says. Voice steady as a plumb line. Heads tilt. Even rifles sag a notch. Feeds locked, Rodriguez whispers. Awaiting go. He taught me right isn't always easy. Sometimes you stand while you shake, she says. Elias stares at Malcolm's banner, uniform bright, smile quiet. Forgive me, brother. Elias breathes. Time to show them. Sergeant Kincaid struts up after, uniform screaming virtue, face set for sympathy. He's rehearsed this like scripture. Malcolm was more than a neighbor, Kincaid quavers. He was a father, a veteran. Handkerchief dabs. What happened pains us all. In the crowd, Doc murmurs, keep digging, Snake. Split-second decisions, Kincaid pleads, palms heavenward. Tragic, incomprehensible. The square shifts, some nodding, some whispering. The fracture gleams, undeniable. Rodriguez, feeds primed, every screen tied. Kincaid swells. Trust the system, proper channels. Elias clicks the switch. Screens stutter, then resolve into body cam truth. Malcolm's hands on the wheel. Timestamp clean. Sir, I'm reaching for registration. His calm voice plays. Kincaid freezes mid-lie. His recorded snarl erupts. Shut your mouth, boy. 3 shots, no weapon. Aisha's scream, played across 40 feet of LED. Gasps rip the square. Then the avalanche. Night dumps at creeks. Riot gear invoices miscounted. Parking lot meetings with Heliox. Escort contracts dressed as safety. Years of rot unspool. Mayor staggers. Heliox's executive bolts. His security evaporated earlier. Kill the feed! Braddock yells, but his board's already blind. Cut power, he barks. Too late. Truth's gone airborne. Elias steps from the crowd. Cap off. Reapers appear like ink, surfacing through water. Officers lift weapons, aiming everywhere and nowhere. Kincaid's veneer cracks. His hand dives for his pistol. This is a setup, he yells, brandishing steel. They're fugitives. This is justice, Elias answers, voice low thunder. Screens continue vomiting receipts. Reapers lock corners, non-lethal ready. Kincaid's muzzle trembles. Behind him, some officers sag, doubt finally louder than orders. Nina raises her phone, streaming front row accountability. Drop it, Sergeant, she calls. The whole world is watching. Hundreds of phones climb like a forest. No shadows left for lies. Ayanna stands near the stage edge, tags glinting. She looks straight at Kincaid. You killed my dad, she says. Steady now. And now everyone knows why. The echo lands. Footage loops. Each repetition heavier. Some officers lower guns. Others look sick, doing math on complicity. Reapers move with professional calm. Guardians, not raiders. The contrast writes its own headlines. Kincaid's face folds. You don't understand what they'll do, he whispers. We understand exactly, Elias answers, advancing. That's why we're here. Evidence keeps pouring. Stolen deeds, clinic reports, transfers between Heliox and Brass. A river that scrubs reputations to bone. Kincaid's finger tightens. A shot cracks, then another. Panic snaps the crowd. People dive. Screams braid with commands. Protect civilians, Elias orders. Reapers blossom. Shields up. Smoke hissing. Lines redirecting danger. Doc pulls an elder behind concrete as chips spit. Thompson corrals kids behind the memorial wall. Smoke fattens the square. Gunfire becomes percussion. Through gray sheets, elbows and knees replace bullets. Cameras keep rolling, Lena directing crews into cover while maintaining sight lines. World needs eyes, she yells. Lenses don't blink. Elias moves inside smoke like it's his element. He spots Kincaid, shoulder shoving toward escape, knocking people like pins. Going somewhere, Elias calls. Kincaid spins, shooting ragged. Rounds ping off a fender. Reapers strip rifles from officers cleanly. Wrists zip-tied. Muzzles pointed at pavement. Lines between rolls sharpen. You people never learn your place. Kincaid screams, slamming in a fresh magazine. Always pushing, always starting trouble. Our place is standing between you and whoever you aim at, Elias says, rising calm. Kincaid charges, ditching the gun for a haymaker. Technique versus fury. The fight you always bet on. I've been waiting, Kincaid snarls, catching a lucky rib shot. Should have buried you like Malcolm. Elias's eyes narrow. He slaps the next punch aside, answers, jab cross elbow. Kincaid stumbles, blood painting his lip. He goes for eyes, groin, whatever lands. Elias stays clean, patient, letting gravity help ugly truths. Look around, Elias says, parrying. Your empire's falling. Through thinning smoke, black SUVs bow-marked FBI, rotors whipping flags, federal wind finally catching the scent. Kincaid panics, yanks a hidden blade, slashing wild. You're nothing, he shrieks. Elias pins the wrist, turns, pops, knife skitters. Hope clatters louder. One sweep takes Kincaid's legs. An armbar seats him in pain. We're what you couldn't break, Elias says, pressure precise. The truth you couldn't bury. Cameras encircle, helicopters iron daylight across them. Elias releases and hauls him upright. You don't get martyrdom, he says, snapping cuffs. You get memory. Special agents and windbreakers spill from black SUVs as rotors whip banners. Federal Bureau of Investigation, someone shouts, credentials flashing. Hands where we can see them. Elias hauls Kincaid upright, wrists cinched. Cameras drink everything. You wanted witnesses, Elias says to the lenses. Here they are. Remember this face. He turns Kincaid toward a female agent. He's yours, Elias says. Chain of custody. Full medical. No side doors. The agent nods, reading Wright's over Kincaid's ragged breathing. Behind them, Reapers guide stunned officers to the pavement, muzzles down, palms up. Sirens stack layers. The square's heartbeat changes key. Mayor Reddick stumbles, blinking at screens, still vomiting receipts. Chief Braddock barks orders nobody obeys. Heliox suits look for vanished security and find only federal tape. On stage, Nina streams everything, voice steady. Public record, she says. Persistent documentation. Elias scans rooftops, confirms Overwatch. His ribs grind, but purpose steadies him. Aisha steps from the wing, dog tags bright as dawn. Is it done? She asks, meeting Elias at eye level. The shooting stopped, he answers softly. The work starts now, making sure this can't grow back. She nods like a much older person, grief and grit welded into something immovable. Agents fan out, collecting drives and hard copies Rodriguez prepositioned. Forensics bags, shell casings, soil samples from boots smeared with creek slick. A federal medic tapes Elias's ribs anyway. You'll breathe shallower, she warns. Breathe smarter, he replies. Overhead, news choppers orbit like second suns, burning shadows off careful lies. Reporters fire questions. Did you hack municipal systems? Who funded this operation? Nina holds the line. We used the truth and a public square, she says. Everything else is standard civic hygiene. Rodriguez smiles without humor, still puppeteering feeds until the last affidavit drops into the right inbox. On an adjacent street, plain sedans become traps. Federal hands coax Heliox executives out, wrists threaded, briefcases seized. One tries to run and trips on a curb, symbolism too on the nose to savor. Reddick attempts statesmanlike retreat. A warrant meets him mid-sentence. Braddock's jaw works, finally realizing impunity expired. Elias passes Kincaid to Agent Cooper. He complains about the cuffs. Elias says, let him. Don't let anyone sanitize him. Cooper's eyes are cool steel. Understood. They frog march the sergeant past phones, his narrative finally devoured by his record. The screens loop the stop, the shots, the aftermath again. Public memory is short, Nina whispers. Not this time, Elias answers, staring at Malcolm's banner. We'll staple it to the town's timeline. Aisha stands with them, quiet, breathing more easily now. Thunderheads drift past, finally rainless. The square smells like cordite, spilled coffee, and relief trying to be born. 2 days later, morning news carries Braddock's resignation. Pale face, clipped apology, no specifics. Anchors pivot to subpoenas raiding Heliox headquarters across 3 states. Graphics bloom, environmental crimes, conspiracy, civil rights violations. Nina watches beside cartons of law books. On her desk, bar letter, full reinstatement, printed contrition. Her phone spasms, press requests, clients, advocacy groups. She sets a framed photo of Malcolm on the blotter. We did it, she murmurs. We got daylight. Across town, Elias ignores his third CNN call. He parks by Oak Hill Cemetery, a small flag tucked under his arm, nerves quiet. The grass is damp. Mist threads marble. Aisha walks beside him, holding something wrapped in a handkerchief. They stop at a simple stone. Malcolm Rivers, father, brother, neighbor. Stand for what's right, even alone. Elias plants the flag. They keep saying, hero, he says. You were the one who started running uphill. Aisha unwraps Malcolm's Navy Cross, found in his toolbox with a note. He never bragged, she whispers, tracing bronze. Said real heroes don't. Elias nods. He believed right is its own receipt. She sets the metal against granite, angling it for morning light. Her reflection looks back, steadier. Reporters want me on camera, she says. You don't owe them, Elias answers. Your story is yours. She tips her face up. I want people to know my dad, not their lies. Elias remembers the smear campaign, now ashes with badges in evidence bags. Truth has legs, he says gently. Sometimes I still get scared, she admits. Patrol cars. Stairs. Elias kneels despite taped ribs. Courage isn't the absence of fear, he says. It's choosing right while afraid. Wind tugs flowers. Somewhere a bell rings the hour. Pancake time once, after Sunday service. Aisha smiles at the memory without breaking. He fixed people's cars even when they couldn't pay, she says. Said everyone deserves a running chance. Elias laughs softly. He tuned more than engines. Clouds thin, sunlight warms granite. She straightens the metal, then traces Malcolm's name again, each letter like a rung she can climb anytime. My teacher says this will be in history books, she says. Maybe, Elias answers. More important, your father's legacy lives in what you build. She leans against him, exhaustion and peace threading together. He wraps an arm around her shoulders, steady as a fence post, letting silence do the rest. Yes, he. 1 month later, the square looks different. Fresh paint, repaired brick, benches replacing barricades. 2 murals anchor the space. Malcolm's face, gentle, determined, and Dana Ruiz with a notebook, eyes fierce. Afternoon brings chairs and blankets. Kids pinwheel through grown-up talk. The town's colors finally look like its census again. Nina adjusts a mic. Notes scrawled, messy. Dress the blue Malcolm favored. A banner arcs. Hollow Creek unity. Truth takes root. Elias lingers at the edge in a leather jacket, nodding to thank yous, preferring shade. The 13 reapers have scattered home. Their absence hums like a distant protective engine. Interim Mayor Wilson, young, relentless, takes the stage first. A month ago, we were split by lies, she says. Today, we choose harder honesty. Polite applause crests, then ebbs. Everyone's waiting for another voice. Front row. Aisha, yellow sundress. Index cards clenched. Most don't see the nightmares that still visit. When Nina introduces her niece, the square hushes. Aisha climbs the small riser to reach the mic. Elias notices her hands shake, then steady, Marcus's habit. My name is Aisha Rivers, she begins. People call me the girl who pointed a gun, or the daughter of the man they killed. I want to tell you who I really am, she continues. I'm a kid who ate pancakes Sundays, who held the flashlight in a garage, who learned brave doesn't mean not scared. It means doing right anyway. Sniffling starts in pockets. A white grandmother squeezes a young black mother's hand. When they killed my dad, they thought they could hide it, she says. They thought no one would listen to a kid. They were wrong. Her voice strengthens. My dad said lies are chains. Truth breaks them, even if it hurts. Cameras angle carefully, but for once don't feel predatory. Ms. Ruiz believed in truth too, Aisha says, nodding at Dana's mural. So did people who risked jobs, took heat, stood up anyway. That's what courage looks like. Sunlight gentles, turning the square to gold. A soft clap begins, rippling outward. For once, applause feels like a promise kept. People ask if I'm angry, she says. Sometimes. But Dad said anger can poison your heart if you let it. He'd want us to build better. She gestures to the paintings. That's why these matter. We're not just remembering. We're growing something new. The square rises to its feet. Nina hugs her, both crying without hiding. Phones record tears that aren't staged. Aisha steps down, collecting handshakes and hugs like steadying ropes. She stops at Malcolm's mural. Below it. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. The words catch evening light and multiply. In small clusters, people read the line aloud. It moves through the crowd, whispered, then spoken, then chorused, like a benediction anyone can afford. Elias stands back, letting the town hold itself upright. For once, no one demands he translate pain into sound bites. Quiet is finally doing its job. Later, folding chairs scrape concrete. Kids chase each other between legs. Food trucks exhale cinnamon and smoke. The two murals glow like open windows. Elias leans on a lamppost. Doc materializes briefly, passing him a sealed envelope. Test results, water samples, next steps. Long haul, Doc says. Good, Elias answers. Nina joins them, eyes red, smile honest. State AG opened a public integrity office here, she says. Staffed, funded, not just letterhead. Elias nods at the stage where volunteers pack cables. Guardrails, he says. Not perfect, but better than hoping drivers behave. Aisha waves from a circle of classmates. Her nightmares, Nina asks. Less sharp, Elias says. She sleeps deeper after we visit the shop, fixing old things back to purpose. Nina exhales. Me too. Across the square, an older white couple brings flowers to Dana's mural. They stand a long time, then add a note. Thank you. Headlines taper from breaking to background, but the work keeps pace. Groundwater tests published, medical screenings free on Saturdays, town hall Q&As that actually answer. Heliox's lawyers throw filings like glitter. Federal cases sweep patiently, broom after broom. The square learns to hold two truths, healing and vigilance, without dropping either. Elias and Aisha visit Oak Hill each Sunday. Sometimes pancakes after, sometimes just quiet. They tell Malcolm good news and bad. Flags fade, flowers rotate. The breeze does its small chores. Aisha talks more now, about school, about coding club, about learning to weld. He'd love that, Elias says. On a Tuesday, the town council votes to rename the creek, Hollow No More, after community pressure. Volunteers and waiters pull barrels the feds missed. Kids paint birdhouses for trees along the bank. Aisha helps measure turbidity, proud of a word that used to scare her. Clarity isn't just metaphor anymore. The garage sign, Free Man Auto, gets repaired. Nina frames Malcolm's original receipts, hangs them near the register. Aisha keeps the flashlight tradition alive, grinning when she guesses the wrench correctly. An older customer says, "Your dad taught me fair." Aisha replies, "Me too." The day tilts a fraction brighter. A month becomes two. Federal pleas start landing. Riddick trades cufflinks for cooperation. Braddock runs out of bluster. A Heliox VP flips and brings maps. Courtrooms hum with transcripts and chain of custody. The square's big screens retire to weather updates and high school games. No one misses the spectacle. Some nights Elias wakes with sand in his chest, ghost storms blowing through. He walks the block, breath measured, until wind and dark reach an understanding. On one of those nights, he finds Aisha on the porch swing, awake with different ghosts. They sit, saying almost nothing, sharing oxygen. "Do you think I did wrong? Picking up the gun?" she asks finally. He considers. "I think you did what trauma does," he says, "and then you chose differently when it counted." She nods, shoulders loosening. "I miss him." "Me too," Elias says. That's how love proves it existed. Local school board meetings become crowded. Aisha speaks about science gear budgets, Nina about civics curriculum, a retired firefighter about emergency protocols. The room is messy, noisy, alive, democracy unsilent. "It's slower than a raid," Rodriguez texts Elias, watching the live stream. "And harder to hack," Elias replies. "Good." A podcaster messages for a 3-hour interview. Elias declines, recommends Dana's old work, sends actual documents. "Let the record speak," he writes. "We're busy building things." The podcaster posts the files anyway, grudgingly impressed. A corner of the internet learns that attention isn't the same as accountability. When verdicts finally arrive, they're careful and precise. Civil rights violations, evidence tampering, environmental crimes, conspiracy. Sentences stagger down like measured rain. Appeals queue as they do. Still, The signal holds. The town exhales without forgetting. The murals don't fade. The creek tests trend greener. The work refuses to nap. On the anniversary, the square fills again, less tense, more stubborn. No stagecraft this time. People bring stories instead. Malcolm's busted knuckle jokes, Dana's relentless emails, Ms. Ruby's corner window witness. Someone sings off key, on purpose. Laughter lands where gunfire once did. The echo is better now, shaped different. Elias drifts to the mural's base. Aisha stands with friends, taller, older in stance, if not in years. She leads a small tour. How to read water data, why chain of custody matters, where to file records requests. Kids nod like apprentices with clipboards. Power starts looking like knowledge again. Remember when you said truth has legs? She asks Elias later. I think it learned to run. He grins. And we learned to keep pace. Nina joins, holding styrofoam cups of lemonade. To dull justice, she says, raising hers. No more sharp edges, just consistent pressure. They clink and sip. As dusk thickens, a projector splashes photos on brick. Malcolm wiping oil from his hands, Aisha riding on his shoulders, Nina at graduation, Dana mid-question, eyebrows up. The crowd murmurs, pointing out details. No one edits the awkward moments out. Wholeness is the new aesthetic, mess and all. Later, folding chairs stack into vans. Brooms whisper over concrete. The square empties without feeling empty. Elias walks the perimeter once. Habit. At the far corner, a boy tapes a handwritten note under Dana's mural. I want to be brave like you. Tape squeaks. The paper holds. At home, the porch light hums. Aisha sleeps without clenched fists. Nina's law books bloom across the table. Open, busy, alive. Elias stands in the doorway. Ribs long since knitted. Purpose still sore in a good way. He turns off the kitchen lamp. The house keeps its quiet promises. He dreams finally of ocean instead of sirens, of a carrier deck and a blue hat with dolphins. Malcolm laughs as the platoon sings badly. Dana rolls her eyes, filming anyway. Aisha dances with pancake syrup on her chin. The dream never ends in gunshots. It ends in daylight. Morning returns. The garage door rattles up. Aisha beats him to the tool wall, already guessing correctly. Half inch, she says. 3/8, he counters. She grins right. They tune a misfiring pickup back into song. Outside, the town moves like a chest inhaling, slow, intentional, lungs resigned to work. Midday, a college class visits, clipboards out. How did you coordinate the broadcast? A student asks. Rodriguez appears from nowhere, hands them a primer. Public records, decentralized backups, timestamps, offsite servers. No heroes, he says, just redundancies. The students write that down. Someone underlines it twice. Nina argues a motion downtown. The judge listens, actually listens, then rules like law still matters. Outside, reporters fish for fireworks. She gives them filings instead. Read those, she says, smiling. Then come see the creek on Saturday. They blink, surprised. Some actually show up later with boots. At the waterline, Elias hands out test kits. Kids record numbers. Elderly neighbors teach which birds returned. Aisha explains how turbidity correlates with runoff, like she's known it forever. Clarity isn't quiet, she tells a camera. It's loud and specific. Someone writes that on a poster, carries it home. Evenings, the porch swing finds its rhythm again. Some nights, strangers stop to say thanks. Other nights, no one does, and that's fine. Elias reads manuals he never needed before. Grant writing, municipal budgeting, community land trusts. He circles verbs like hardware. Build, maintain, repair, audit, report, sustain. The murals get anti-graffiti coating, not to prevent dissent, just to make cleanup easy. Under Malcolm's portrait, Someone chalks an engine diagram. Under Dana's, someone adds a stack of books. Children trace outlines with small hands, learning both names. A chalk heart is brushed away by rain, then redrawn. Out-of-town officials visit for best practices. The town shares what it can. Open data portals, independent water labs, an ombuds office with actual teeth. Don't copy our trauma, Nina says into a microphone. Copy our transparency. The line lands better than any slogan. Grants arrive with fewer strings. On a quiet Wednesday, Agent Cooper calls. Final plea landed, she says. Heliox will fund remediation under supervision. Elias thanks her without fireworks. Appreciate the leash, he says. We'll measure twice. She chuckles, tired and satisfied. Send me a photo of that creek next spring, she says. Deal. The first dragonflies skim mirror-bright patches by June. Where oily iridescence once smeared, honest sunlight sits. Aisha points them out, counts aloud. 5, then 7, she says. Population trending. Elias taps the numbers into a shared sheet. Metrics, he says, teasing. She bumps his shoulder. Receipts, she corrects. Summer brings a reading list at the library. Civics, science, local history. Kids race for stickers like they're badges. Aisha helps younger ones pick titles. Start here, she says, handing over a book on rivers. Water remembers everything. The librarian smiles. So do towns, if you keep writing. In August heat, the square hosts a night market. Music hums, not too loud. Under string lights, a vendor sells bolt kits, labeled with sizes and uses. Elias buys 2. For the garage? The vendor asks. For the future, he replies. The man nods like that answer fits. A podcaster tries again, promising nuance. Elias offers shop time instead. Bring tools, volunteer, listen. The podcaster shows up, actually sands a door, leaves with sawdust in his beard and less certainty in his script. His episode airs quieter, truer. Sometimes narrative surrenders to work and doesn't fight. On a rainy Sunday, lightning walks the horizon. Elias sets a pot of coffee. Aisha curls with homework. Nina highlights case law. The house holds 3 kinds of quiet: study, memory, weather. None of them hurt. When thunder finally rolls overhead, no one ducks. They count between flash and rumble. Aisha tapes a new photo to the fridge. Her at a welding booth, visor up, grin wide. I made a bracket, she says. Perfect right angle. Elias points at the corner. That's where strength lives, he says. Not showy, structural. She nods like she knew it already. Probably did. At the next town meeting, an elderly man objects to budget lines for testing. It's over him, he says. Why keep paying? Aisha raises her hand. Because trust is a subscription, she answers. The room laughs, then writes it down. The motion passes. The man shrugs, then volunteers Saturday. Elias visits the cemetery alone. He sits on the grass, talks about creeks and courts, dragonflies and kids learning meters. Still running uphill, he tells Malcolm Stone, but we built switchbacks. Wind moves leaves like quiet applause. He stands, salutes without irony, and walks back lighter than he came. Back downtown, the murals need touch-ups. Volunteers tape edges, brushes whisper. Aisha steady hands Dana's notebook lines. She'd hate looking too perfect, Nina says. She'd add a coffee stain. They laugh and add one. Small, intentional, human. Perfection was never the point. Persistence was. The paint dries like resolve. Under Malcolm's portrait, someone has taped a quote. Keep the motor honest. Elias grins. He would have liked that, he says. He'd say, change the oil before it screams. Aisha pockets a stray bolt from the base. A talisman she won't admit is a talisman. The square hums comfortable. Evening falls soft. Aisha speaks briefly to a student journalist. Share this so people don't forget. The kid nods, recorder trembling. I will. Lights glow. The crowd thins. A guitar somewhere plays a clumsy hymn that still lands right. The town exhales, a practiced, useful breath, unafraid. If you found strength in this, pass it forward. Tell someone who needs proof that truth outlives lies. Stick around, there's more we're building next. Meanwhile, two pieces I picked for you. Stories with the same heartbeat, different scars. Take care of each other out there. See you soon. Have a good day. Lesson 1. The cost of silence and the power of truth. For those of us in our golden years, we've seen enough to know that silence can be as deadly as any weapon. Many remember the days when injustice was whispered about but rarely confronted. In Hollow Creek, a good man named Malcolm Rivers paid the price for daring to stand tall. His death under a merciless sun was more than a tragedy. It was a reminder that truth buried in fear becomes poison. Yet from his blood rose his daughter Aisha, trembling but unbroken, holding her father's memory like a torch. The lesson here is simple but heavy. When the system fails, the people must speak. Whether you're 65 or 85, your voice still matters. Truth may stagger, but it never dies when we defend it. Malcolm's story isn't far from the headlines we've seen in our lifetimes, but this time, justice didn't fade away. It fought back. Lesson 2. The healing power of community and legacy. As the years pile on, we learn that one person can light the fire, but it takes a whole town to keep it burning. When Aisha stood up for her father, she wasn't alone for long. Veterans, neighbors, and her Aunt Nina all rose beside her. Together, they tore down lies and built something new: clean water, clean records, and clean consciences. That's a victory older Americans understand. We've seen communities rebuild after floods, wars, and heartbreak. What happened in Hollow Creek teaches that justice isn't just about revenge, it's about repair. For those of us who've spent lifetimes mending what's broken, the sight of that young girl planting seeds where hate once stood is more than a story. It's hope made visible. Friends, after hearing Aisha and Malcolm's story, what does justice mean to you? Is it punishment for the guilty or rebuilding what was lost? Have you ever seen a time when truth was nearly buried, but someone, maybe even you, refused to stay silent? Share your thoughts and memories in the comments below. Your experiences can guide the next generation toward courage and compassion. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes that truth and hope still have work to do in this world.